What's going on, everybody? Welcome back again to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. Shane Sams coming to you live here again this week to talk to another amazing member of the Flip Lifestyle community. And today my guest is the one, the only, Stephen Morris. What's up, Stephen? How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, my brother? I am so excited to be here, man. Was telling you earlier, I am caffeinated, I am sugared, and I am ready to rock and roll, bro.
That's amazing, dude. I have no caffeine because for some stupid reason, decided to cut caffeine for a couple of weeks. I do this every once in a while, so I remember what it's like to be a human. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna feed off of your caffeinated energy. And you kick the sugar. I'll make sure there's no sugar. I won't sugarcoat anything while we're talking today, man. We just got off a Q&A, guys, so we are high as a kite. Man, we had a Flip Lifestyle Q&A, and we've been having fun for over an hour. And then we were sitting there talking for like 18 minutes. And I said, Steven, we haven't even hit record yet. We got to do something, man. We need to stop talking. So let's catch everybody else up with what we've been talking about for the past little bit, Steven. Tell us a little bit about your background before you found Flip Lifestyle, and tell us about your online business.
Yeah, man. So in 2001, August 17th, 2001, I joined the Army. And we all know what happened 3 weeks later. And so my life became just a list of deployments and combat and pretty much everything else. And I did it for 16 years until the Army finally told me it's time to separate.
Thank you for your service, bro. That's the only reason guys like us get to podcast eventually, man. So appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I loved what I did. I loved the Army. And in 2000, I got shot actually in 2013, which was all pretty much ultimately signed my death warrant for my military service. So, you know, I drew it out another 4 years, basically.
Thank God it didn't sign your actual death warrant.
Bro, it was close.
I'm glad you're alive. Okay. So thank God you came back, and it was just like it ended your career. I don't want anybody to think I'm interviewing the ghost of Stephen Morris because you said it was your death warrant. I got shot, and then my death warrant got signed. I'm like, are you a ghost? Like, what is happening, bro? No, you're alive, and you're here. And I'm grateful for you, dude.
You know, I didn't know it at the time, but it did so much damage to my body. I just couldn't serve anymore. And so finally in July 2017, the Army said, it's time to go. You're too much of a liability. In hindsight, I agree. But I'll tell you what, Shane, that was the hardest hit thing that ever happened to me in my life, dude. Like, It was so hard to leave the Army, so hard to leave my teams, so hard to leave my guys, my people, the people I loved, worked with every day, and get thrust into an environment that was just so bleh. That's the only way I can describe it is going to work in corporate world was just bleh. No one was motivated. No one had a sense of purpose. Everyone just wanted to get it, survive basically until 5 o'clock when it was time to go home. Who wants to, like, why would you want to live your life that way? Like, it just blows my mind. If I'm at work, bro, like, I'm at work. Like, let's go. And let's get some fire. And no one had it, man. And I realized that it had to do with leadership. That leadership wasn't inspiring. Our leaders are good at managing. They're good at checking boxes. They're good at the corporate. Hey, you did a great job. Thank you for coming to work today. But that's it. And I started realizing this, and God really put it on my heart. Like, hey, man, I've given you great tools to train and mentor leadership in this world. It's time for you to go do it. And I'm like, okay, great. How do I do it? You know, it's funny about God. Like, he'll tell you something and then just disappear. And it's like,
yeah, figure it out. You know, all the stuff I just took you through, that was called the Valley of the Shadow of Death. Now, good job climbing to the top. Here's your next assignment. Figure it out. See you on the other side.
Right. And so I'm, what does culture tell us to do? Culture tells us to go to school and get a whole bunch of letters after your name, and then people will take you seriously. And that's what I believed, and that's what I thought. So that's what I started doing. And it was going and going and going. But I was starting to get impatient. And then one day I come home from work, and my wife's like, "Hey, there's this thing called Life Surge. It's a Christian conference. You've never been to a Christian conference before. I want to go. It's in Cincinnati." I'm like, Cincinnati, that's 2 hours away. Like, seriously? Like, and then I look at the roster. I'm like, I know none of these people. Like, why would I don't care what they have to say.
You know what's funny about that is, like, Chris Tomlin was at that event. Like, he's a pretty big singer. And like a lot of people do know those people, but like nobody knows me until I get up on stage. And then everybody remembers me at that point. You know what I mean? And it's like, it was funny. One time I was in Atlanta, Georgia one time. And so one thing I do before I speak, because nobody knows me, it's awesome. I can walk around in the crowd before I talk. You know what I'm saying? And then some people will recognize me. Like, I've had people come up to me like, I listened to your podcast. I heard you were going to be here. And I was like, oh, cool. Thanks, man. But it's like not a big deal. And then like most of the time, nobody knows who I am. And then so one time I walk out to get the energy and feel it. And then when this one guy goes out, his name's James. Usually I go out between him and the next guy because I want to go out on stage. So I'll walk around the crowd in the morning. Then I'll walk out on stage, but I'm just wearing like a black t-shirt and jeans. Nobody knows who I am. Right. That's what I speak in too, so it doesn't matter. And this lady was like waving at me. And she was like waving me over to come over. And I was like, what is this lady? I was like, I thought she might listen to the podcast or something, right? So I went over there and she goes, honey, I dropped my earring. Can you get under that stage and get it for me? She thought I was a roadie. She thought I was like a janitor or something. And like, so I was like, I got you, honey. I got you. I'll help you out, man. I think that was in Cincinnati, actually, when that happened. And then like, it was funny because then later, like an hour later, I come out and I'm talking and I walked right over to that lady where she was sitting because I saw her sit down and I just looked at her and she looked like she'd seen a ghost, son. Like she was like, oh my gosh, that's the guy to help me get my thing. So it's so funny, man. So I get where you're coming from. You didn't know anybody. And right. Your wife was dragging you to this conference that it was at, right?
Yeah, 100%. So we go and, it's cool. Like you said, Chris Tomlin, I said I didn't know anybody. He was literally the only person I knew that was going to be there. And so, that happens and everybody's doing their talk. I'm like, yeah, this is inspiring. This is cool. And so, but then you come out and you start talking about your story and, how your career tried to rob you of a very important, event happening to your son. And I sat there, I'm like, I just spent 16 years of my life completely gone from any important event in my family's life, birthdays, anniversaries, Christmases, Thanksgivings, all of it. I was either in Iraq, Afghanistan, South America, North America, Europe, Asia. Like I've traveled literally all over the world in 16 years and I missed everything of importance. It's like, I don't want to do that anymore. And so you kept talking. And it's like, you know what? I told my wife, I was like, I think we need to go to this guy's thing. I don't care how much it is. I think we need to go hear this guy out. He may be full of crap and he may be a scam artist and who knows, but I at least think I want to go hear what he has to say. So we signed up for your income search. As soon as we walked into the room, like you were just, like you said, walking around talking to people, you came up to us and greeted us and took a picture with us. And it's like, man, like this dude's really cool, down to earth. He doesn't seem like a scam artist to me at all. Because I approach everything with a what's your angle type of attitude.
So we all remember like the wrestling of the 90s, like Stone Cold Steve Austin and stuff like that. And he used to wear a shirt that said DTA, don't trust anybody. And I always say that 100%. Going into any conversation. I'm like, what was it George Bush said? Like, trust but verify. Right. Yeah, so you gotta look them up, man. Gotta look them up.
Absolutely. So we get into your seminar and you start talking and like suddenly, all of a sudden the light clicked into my head. And like I was explaining to you before, it's funny because people will say something to you and they'll say the same thing over and over and over again, but it never quite sinks in. And they're saying it. And then one person says the exact same thing all the other people have been saying that hadn't been sinking into the brain bucket. And then it's like a punch in the face. It's like, oh, okay, all that makes sense, man. And that's exactly what happened. Is like, yeah, I don't need all those fancy letters after my name for people to take me serious. I just need to get out into the world, put myself out there, share my story with them, share why I know why I can help them, share my, the experience I have and what I want to do. And people will take me serious. I don't need the PhD.
You're a soldier who's been shot and has led and has traveled the world. Like there ain't no college professor that's trapped in their dorm room for their entire life ever going to be able to rubber stamp a letter on the end of your name that's going to give you more validation than your life experience. Right. It's so funny though, because like we laugh at that, but like it's true for everybody. If you can truly help people with your life experience and you can solve a problem for someone because you figured some things out, and you can help them avoid pain and avoid problems and get there faster. Like, why would they not listen to you? I guarantee you my GPA was lower than a lot of people that I know that came out of my high school, right? Yeah. But there's a lot more commas in my bank account too. What numbers are you looking at? Like where the decimal is or where the comma is, right? What letters are you looking at? I think we're moving into a time in history where, we might look up in 50 years and schools aren't a thing. And education does exist only through other people teaching through life experience, telling their story and helping other people live theirs. And, to see you realize that's kind of my mission in life is, our tagline is we help people find and use their God-given gifts to serve others and make their entire living online. And so that they can take control of their lives. If you look at that, there's nowhere in there. We help people get a degree that you can hang on a wall. Like, why? It doesn't matter. Just find your God-given gifts through your life experience, knowledge, and passions. Put that out in the world, like you said, and go out and help people. Like, you came into the coaching program, the community. Like, what happened when you started putting yourself out in the world?
So I'll be honest with you, man. I was scared, which if you
weren't, I'd question your sanity, bro. I'm scared every day, man, but I do it anyway. We're all terrified. We're entrepreneurs.
Dude, it was scary. And I'm like, man, if I put my writing out there, I'm going to be criticized. People are going to tell me I'm wrong. People are going to, I hate the sound of my own voice. I think I sound stupid. I think I sound like Kermit the Frog.
I felt the same fear. I was like, someone's going to think that my last name is Clampett and I'm in the Beverly Hillbillies and I'm just this redneck from Kentucky, right? Like, who's going to listen to me? And when you said that, like, I think I sound like Kermit the Frog. I almost spit my decaf out. It's so funny how we all have the same stupid fears, right? Like, I would have never thought that. You sounded that way. Like, my son this morning, he comes up to me. He's getting ready for school and he had like this gray shirt on as a sweatshirt. And there was like, you know how like you wear a t-shirt under your shirt or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He had this. I mean, he had probably a millimeter of the black shirt showing out from that gray, and he's like, "Dad, how do you stop this from showing?" And I'm like, "Isaac, nobody. What are you talking about? What? No one's even going to notice that, right?" Like, and I would have never picked Kermit the Frog for your voice in a million years. Go ahead, my bad.
That's how I perceive myself, right? And I've learned through this process, like, self-perception is very important, and you have to have good self-talk. But that's another conversation. So yeah, I get into the community. I'm like, dude, I am not podcasting. I don't like listening to podcasts. I prefer to read. I'll write, but I am not podcasting. I'm sure as heck not putting myself on iTunes and Spotify and iHeartRadio. You are high if you think I'm going to do that. So about a month goes by and I do record my first podcast.
That's how it usually works in the Flip Lifestyle community. It's like, I'm not doing this, and you got 100 people going, "No, I think you should do this." Right. So
right.
You get out there.
And so now I still don't really like listening to podcasts. I'd still rather read, but I love recording podcasts. I love being on people's podcasts. I love doing my own podcast. I'm still trying to get to where I'm comfortable doing solo casts. Yeah. That's really hard for me because I'm such an extrovert. I need other people's energy to have energy myself. So it's really hard when I'm on someone's podcast and they're really monotone. It's like really hard for me to bring the thunder because it's like,
that's right.
Dude, come on, give me energy. Let's go. But anyway, yeah. So I got into all that. I had my website done in like 3 days after we went to your seminar. I got it out there. I had it all legal by September and put myself out writing, podcasting, all of that. And what I learned very fast is the more people I talk to, the more traffic I get. The more traffic I get, the more my dollar sign will start to go up.
That was so well said. I don't think I've done 1,000 shows, and I don't think I've ever heard it said better. The more I talk to people, the more traffic I get. The more traffic I get, the more money I get. That's it, y'all. That's a wrap. I'm retiring. Flip Lifestyles podcast has reached the end of its journey. So that's amazing, dude.
Thanks, awesome. Man. But that's 100% true. And so now, dude, I will talk to people in Kroger. I will, I'm standing in line to check out. I'm talking to people. I'm in Starbucks. I'm talking to people. Not even about my business, just talking. Just talking to people. Anything, sports, weather, whatever comes up. I'm talking to people constantly. And I'm holding doors open for people. And they're like, "Hey, thanks for holding the door open for me." "Hey, thanks, man. No problem. How's your day going?" And you know what I mean? Like, I just strike up, man. I stood outside of the gas station. I went to the gas station to get my wife something a couple of weeks ago, and I stood out there for about an hour and a half just talking to this dude because he had a really cool old truck. And now we have a meeting scheduled for next week, I think. Next week or the week after next. Is it going to be a sale? I don't know. But it's a meeting and I'm talking to people. And like I told you, I never turn down unless I don't have the time or I have other engagements. I never turn down a meeting.
I hope people are listening to you right now because, like, you're like 3 days later, I built my base website. A month later, you're launching podcasts and courses and trainings and whatever you launched, right? And you're just putting it out there so that it has a chance to get noticed. You just got to get past the threshold. Once you get past it, everything's okay. And some people are just so fearful of the moment where they have to release it, they won't even create it and they give up. And that's not true, man. When you put it out there and you do these things and you don't know if it's going to work, you're just doing something. That's when great things can happen. So tell us about when you launched what you launched. Tell us what you're selling. How did it come out of the gate? What did it grow to? How much money have you made so far? Like all that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Coming out the gate, man, I did everything absolutely wrong.
as you do.
I knew nothing about copyright. I knew nothing about royalties. And so I built my first website and Google was like, no.
Not searching for anything today. Thank you. Please use free photos and or buy them.
Right. So I just had to learn, man. And it's like, it's just a learning curve and you go through it. And that's what I think really scares people is they don't know. They're scared of what they don't know. And it's okay not to know because you're going to figure it out. Just do the thing. Just figure it out. And that's one of the things I teach the most is I'm one of the most fearful people you ever meet. I'm scared of heights. I'm scared of bugs. I'm scared of snakes. Ashamed to admit it, but it's the cold hard truth. I am scared of everything. And so this, you talk about, like you say, everybody's no, not like I'm scared. I promise. And so I've learned when I had to when I was in the Army and I had to start jumping out of airplanes because I'm deathly scared of heights. I learned that once my foot leaves the airplane, I'm not scared anymore.
Wow.
I am only focused on surviving. Right now, my brain completely changes the way it thinks. Because now it's like, okay, what's my altitude? What's my speed? When do I need to open my chute? What happens if my chute doesn't open? I got to go to my reserve. How do I go to my reserve? What I need to do? What happens if this happens? And my brain is just constantly moving forward instead of looking behind like, dude, you're scared of heights. You've fallen before and got hurt. You're going to die. And it's like, no, take a step and leave.
The only way to get rid of the fear is to take the first step.
Because action breeds clarity.
That's good, dude. That's good.
So once I started taking action, once I just started taking that step, and it doesn't matter if the step's forward, backwards, side, left, right, at an angle, it doesn't matter. Just take a step. If it's the wrong step, you're going to figure it out. Like I said, when I launched my first website, Google said no. I took a step backwards. That's fine. But that action gave me clarity on what I had to do to take the step forward.
There's a guy named Garrett White that says, you have to be awful in the beginning. You have to put the first awful version out. He actually says you suck, but I'm not going to say that over and over. But it's like, you have to, he goes, first you suck, then you suck less. That's what he says. But like, it's like, and eventually you're not bad anymore. And then eventually you're good. Right. But you never get the chance unless you take the first bad step. So you launch your thing. What was it? A membership? Was it a
coaching?
What was it?
It was coaching.
Awesome, dude. Yeah.
And just around, teaching and mentoring and coaching leadership to pretty much anybody that would listen to me. And, sure. And now I'm targeting mid-level to high-level CEOs, CFOs, mid-level managers, stuff like that. And it's not intentional that I target them. That's just kind of who came to me.
It's amazing, though, the blending of what your background, like you were this military guy who came to corporate, saw there was no leadership, just managers. And now you're like, but your experience in that space, your story in that space, like when you tell me your story earlier, it's like, man, I realized that in corporate, we had managers, not leaders. I'm going to turn those managers into leaders, even CEOs. And now that's who's coming to you because your story is your best marketing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Lean into that story. And that's the thing. Everyone has a story, bro. Yeah, everyone. And it may not be as exciting as mine, where I got to go travel and do all these crazy things and jump out of airplanes and, get shot. I mean, that wasn't really exciting. I guess it kind of was. But your story is your story. And if you learn just how to tell it, in my press kit that I sent your guy, Kevin, I think I described myself as an epic storyteller.
You're really good, dude. Like, you got a good, but like what you said there, it sparked me something hooked back to at the beginning of our podcast. Just like I was the person who clicked it for you, even though other people had said it before. Like, everyone's story is like that. Like, people think that their story is the same, or it's different, or blah blah blah, or not as good, or not as exciting, or not as whatever. But somebody is waiting for you to tell the story. And it'll click in their brain because they relate to you and your story, and then they will buy your product. And these people, it's exactly what we teach inside Flip Lifestyle. Like, you're telling your story, the right people are being drawn to that story, and bam, all of a sudden you've got people paying you for coaching. Isn't that crazy, dude? What's been your best month so far of coaching?
December. I made my goal was to make 7,500 the month of December, and I made 6,500.
65. I mean, look at the potential of your brand, dude. Just a few months later, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and but it's because you took action. You kept taking those first steps out of that airplane that something like that happened, dude. Like, imagine, it's like people like $6,500, that's like 80 grand a year or something almost. You know what I mean? Like, if you can get it consistently, like, that's what's possible. And you've not even tapped into the courses and memberships, and you're just building this coaching program out to get your feet wet. Dude, let me just give you an air high five here real quick. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm giving Steven an air high five because, it's prototype what we say to people. I don't want to just say it the blueprint, because I don't want people write, you're just bragging about your program. Yeah, I am, because it's awesome and it works. But like, it's crazy what happens when I see people that are like, this worked. Why did it work? Well, because when I got home from joining, I built my website over the next couple of days. So I had a homepage, and I launched a podcast, and then I did the thing, and then I got my clients, and I told my story. And like, when we see that happen, it's just action. It's just taking the actions. How did the Flip Lifestyle community help you get there so fast? Right. Because you said you draw energy from other people like that.
Oh man.
Like, how did that help? Because you moved very quickly. I'm not going to tell anybody that they can succeed in 3 months and make $6,500 or whatever, but like, there's a reason this happens. Right. So how did that help you, the community itself?
It was insane, Shane, because like I said, I draw so much energy from the people around me, which leads, I can go off in a whole tangent.
We're here for tangents, baby. I love tangents.
Okay, fine. You asked for it. So you are who you surround yourself with. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, then you need to surround yourself with successful entrepreneurs. And if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong freaking room, bro. You got to get into the room where you are the dumbest person in the room.
You know what's awesome about that though is every room I walk into is the right room for me. Because I'm always the dumbest person in the room. I feel like it anyway. No, I'm just kidding.
Your guy, Manny. Oh, man. I just interviewed him on my podcast. Manny Vargas, I think is his last name.
Yeah, killer.
Man, that dude is awesome. And he has an incredible story, and he tells his story so well. But I mean, I've started just kind of hanging around him, just asking questions, man. He's my Facebook friend. And I just text him every once in a while on Facebook, like, hey, man, what do you think about this? Yeah, and he'll give me his feedback. And I told my wife, and if you're listening to this dude, sorry, but I told my wife, I was like, he's going to be one of my best friends one day.
That's great. Hey, I've said that many times and it's come true, man. It's weird how podcasting and stuff makes that happen. You know what I mean? Like, you just meet
absolutely
people. When you surround yourself with that many people, because there's so many people in our community now, like, you're going to find your people that you hang out and that you can rely on. And when they're all like-minded, great things happen. Doesn't mean we're all the same. Doesn't mean we're trying to do the same things. And also, the reason our community produces a lot of good people because we have a plan. We have an actual program that people can go through. Everybody's doing the same things. But like our team, even like Manny or Kevin, our podcast guy that sent you the stuff for the press kit and all that stuff, they're all from our circle. They all came up from Flip Lifestyle. Like, we almost exclusively hire from our community. Don't ever apply if you ain't in the community, because I might not look at your resume, right? But like, we almost, like, all of our people came up through the culture of the thing. We are built to help each other, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's membership. I highly recommend that when you get to the point where you can hire, go to your customers, go to your students, go to your coaching clients and pull them up from there. And you can create that same kind of culture like that.
I've learned that one, my network equals my net worth. And two, like I just have to surround myself with just the people I want to be, the people that inspire me to take that next fearful step. And so, you know, we get into the community, we got Delin, we got Faust, we got all your amazing team members that just push me. And then I started meeting awesome people like Nanette and Virginia from the Lively Office, Francine Ivy from Consumed Coaching, Bridget Lynch, Peggy Easterling, and all these people are just like, dude, do it. Do a podcast. Who cares? Shane says, do it messy. Go do it messy. Who cares if you sound like Kermit the Frog? I don't think you sound like Kermit the Frog. So no one else is going to think you sound like Kermit the Frog. Just go do it, bro. And they push and push and push. And finally, you just, all right, I'll do it. And so you go do the thing. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, it's not that scary. And then it's like, wait a minute, I can do this. And you're like, wait a minute, I can bring value to people. And right now I can't really talk about it because it's kind of confidential, but I'm working on this business deal with a very, very well-established coaching cohort. And they're trying to bring me in as their leadership expert.
It's amazing. If you'd never put yourself out there, you wouldn't be even thinking about that opportunity.
Absolutely. And so like these people have been literally stalking me for several months, just listening to my podcast, watching my website, seeing what I'm doing, seeing the value I can bring to people, watching my social media posts. And, you know, finally the CEO reached out to me. He's like, hey, I want to be on your podcast. This is my background. And the CEO is one of the youngest females to be a high-level executive in Wall Street.
Wow.
She's just super high-powered.
And they reached out to you. Ain't that funny?
So now we're working on this deal where I'm going to work with them. And that's gonna be a huge income stream for me, and it's gonna be great. Incredible. And I'm so excited. I can't wait for this deal to get done.
That's awesome, man.
We're all aligned, you know. But like you said, it's all because like this community just pushed me to take that next fearful step, put myself out there, and ignore that self-talk, because like I said earlier, self-talk is so important. Ignore that self-talk, that negative self-talk.
Man, I'm telling you, almost from day one, I would say probably we did a couple beta tests of people before we launched Flipped Lifestyle totally to the public. And I quickly realized we wrote down like, what were the biggest problems we experienced when we first started our online business? And the number one thing was we did it by ourselves. It was so freaking hard. We didn't have a real coach until like a year and a half into our business. You know what I'm saying? And if I had just gotten a coach like 3 months into my business, I probably would have succeeded in half the time. And it's just like, because you're alone. So we made the decision, Stephen. The community is the anchor. We call it the Flipped Lifestyle community. Yes, we have the blueprint. Yes, we have coaching. We have all those things. But we call it the Flipped Lifestyle community for a reason, because when the self-talk starts, you've got someone to go talk to. When you're doubting yourself, you got someone to pick you up. When you think you sound like Kermit the Frog, you have someone to tell you, who cares? Somebody wants to listen to Kermit the Frog, okay? Somebody out there. There's 8 billion people on the planet. There's 500 of them that want to listen to Kermit the Frog, even if you sound like that, but you don't. But like, that's why it's always been like a community like that. So this is amazing, dude. Like, I'm just so impressed. I've heard your story since the beginning, right? Like I get nuggets. I get like reports on my Slack channel of everybody, what's going on every day. Delin drops in there, like what's happening with everybody's wins and stuff. So we're constantly watching these things happen, man. And your rise to building this viable business in really just a few months has been absolutely positively epic. You know, you've got these amazing opportunities going on. You've already crossed some magic numbers. You know, you've crossed that $5,000 a month. You've made thousands of dollars. You've got some big income streams coming up. But like, what do you see happening next? Like, what's your biggest problem, your biggest challenge? Like, how can I help you right now to make sure, one, let's get that income stream locked in from this new client, but two, like, how do we scale this thing? How do we expand this thing out in the world? Like, what's your biggest challenge right now?
Where I'm struggling the most is with my social media marketing. I do not like social media. I've never been a big social media guy. And so putting the CPR into my social media has been a real challenge. So I'm working on that. I've found certain tools, and I'm actually almost to the point where I'm just ready to hire someone to do it for me.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
it takes so much time for me. I can sit down and write an entire 5,000 word blog post in 30 minutes. And to write a 100-word social media post takes me 3 hours. And that's not even an exaggeration. It's just so hard for me to do that. I actually just completely redid my model. So now there is not a coaching contract with me. It is a coaching subscription. And I have three tiers of coaching that I offer, from group coaching. It's $149.97. We meet twice a week for group coaching. And then my next tier is $550. And that is one-on-one coaching plus group coaching. And we meet twice a week, one-on-one plus the twice a week group coaching. And there's obviously more benefits and stuff like that in each program. And then my final tier is the executive tier, where I give you 90 minutes one-on-one every week. You have access to me 24/7, and that is $1,500 a month.
Gotcha.
I use Voxer.
Voxer's good. That's fine.
Voxer in my email.
With the people you're talking to, the leaders and CEOs and things like that, you might want to use Signal instead of Voxer. Signal? Yeah, Signal's more encrypted. It's more protected. It's just more private. But I think it would just telling people, hey, this is such good stuff, man. I only use Signal to talk to my VIP clients so we can keep it safe and encrypted. And it's because sometimes CEOs and leaders, even high-level managers, want, privacy. It's just marketing is all I'm doing here. Like, it's a way to say we use Signal because it's private, it's encrypted, and you're trying to get a leg up on the ladder and you're trying to be a good leader. So something like that. I love your pricing. I love everything you got going. You're starting to move toward group coaching, which is a great thing. That will eventually get you to membership, which is where you can really scale, something $50 a month, $100 a month. So you're doing everything in the right order. It's fine. Everything's leading to that monthly recurring revenue, which is critical for everybody's online business. If it ain't a membership, you're losing your mind. You know what I mean? I wrote down 3 things here. Okay. Social media marketing. Do you use social media ever just for your own personal? Like, I'm a Twitter guy. Like, I just love Twitter more than anything else. Do you use any social media?
I've always had a social media account I used to use just to, when I was deployed or whatever, keep family updated on me.
But nothing big.
But yeah,
not into it.
No, never.
Let me tell you something, man. I don't think you have to do social media marketing at all. I really don't. If you wanted to hire someone to broadcast it, or pick one that's kind of fun for you. I love to tweet. I had a buddy of mine. He's got a multi-million-dollar monthly recurring revenue subscription stuff, right? They were spending $100,000 a month on Facebook ads or something crazy. They turned them off and stopped posting on social, and nothing happened to their revenue. It did not go down. And they were like, why are we spending all this time and money on this social media marketing stuff? Now, I'm not saying don't post there. I'm not saying that. Somebody's going to call you and go, you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I know how to do this. You make videos, you make blog posts, you make podcasts, you send them to an email list, you sell them stuff. That's how it works. You can tell me anything you want about Instagram and all this other nonsense. That's like the icing on the cake, if anything. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe it's not even the icing, bro. It's the sprinkles. We're not here for sprinkles. We're here for cake. I'm here for cake, y'all. So, dude, don't even worry about it, man. Just post a link with a sentence to all your stuff on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, maybe. Who cares? Maybe LinkedIn. Yours sounds like a LinkedIn thing. Or pick one thing and just post it in there. You don't have to do social media marketing. It helps. Your podcast is a leadership podcast. Is that what it is? That was talking about leadership?
Yep.
Dude, write down the top 100 leaders in the world and try to get them on your show. That'll let them share it on social media. Go get Jocko Willink. Go get freaking reach out to 100 of the biggest people on the planet and see if 5 will say yes. That'll do more for your brand than anything will. Then just cut it up and throw it on social media. You don't have to have some big strategy, right? I'm a podcaster, man. My meetings start with, how are we growing the podcast? Not how do we get someone to like us on Facebook or share us on Twitter? That's just stuff, man. I have never had a big social media following, but I've always had a big email list and a big podcast downloads. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes money, man. People get it so confused. And it's one of those things that it's we can do it, but should we do it? Sometimes I'll even tell people, I get this a lot. People will come and say, I just don't know what social media strategy. I'm like, just pick one and post it there. Who cares? It's something, pick YouTube, throw your podcast on YouTube, cut a couple clips up and put them on YouTube Shorts, call it a day. Right. And just grow your YouTube channel. Do that. Right. That's a social media network. So don't put stress on this. You're doing the other things right. Your podcast and your emails and your relationships are producing sales. Where in there did I say Facebook, Twitter, or Pinterest? I didn't. Right now, can it get you more attention? Of course it can. Okay. But man, it's almost, until you've got enough money for somebody else to do it for you, it's like, is it producing sales? No. Do more what works. Dream 100, your podcast, top 100 people you want to interview. Ask every one of them about your leadership. Tell them about leadership. Tell them you want to share them with your list. Tell them you want to whatever, and like get them on your thing. Now, on your content, how do you use social media? You said something really interesting. And I used to do this all the time, bro. You said, man, I can sit down and write a long form blog post in 5 seconds. Like, it's so easy for me. The ideas come off. Dude, copy paste into Facebook and put a picture on it. What are you doing, bro? Like, yeah, man, like that's fine. Like, what like just do that. Like, I used to do this almost every day in the beginning of our business. I would write an email and then I would just post that in my Facebook. That's what I would do. The whole Flip Lifestyles, all its Facebook page was. I had a goal in 2015. I started emailing my list every day. So I would get up every morning, I'd sip a cup of coffee, and I'd write a couple emails to my different businesses. That's all I did for all of my living for a while. And like, I just got up and I was like, what am I? And I'm like, man, I need to post this on social media. So I would make a blog post and then I would put the whole thing on social media, but I'd still have a link back to the blog post. Like, even though they could just go click and read the exact same thing, like it was like crazy. I don't care. Like, I'm doing something, and that's better than nothing. And there's some Facebook guru listening to this right now, or some Twitter guru, that will work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, commas, count the commas. Don't count. Don't count the characters in your Twitter post. Don't count the tags in your YouTube thing. Don't count the images and how many likes you get on Facebook. Count commas, people. That's how you know if it's working. And so like, I would just say, don't worry about that right now, man. Just make your podcast get more downloads. That might require you to share stuff. But gosh, that can be automated, man. Don't even worry about it right now. Like, just go out and podcast, build your list, and sell more to your customers. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah, I only log into Twitter now. That's all I do.
Yeah.
If you want to follow me at Shane_Sams or at Flipped LS, that's our Flip Lifestyles podcast, or Twitter. But I have other people that post. So hiring people also is a good thing. Like Kevin, my podcast editor, like, we made a YouTube video. If you want to check out our YouTube channel, fliplifestyle.com/YouTube. But you can go there and watch our podcast. You can see the videos. But we do these like documentary style case study stories, and we answer a lot of questions about online business. So yeah, when we make something for YouTube, I'm going to upload it to LinkedIn and Facebook too. It's already there. If we make a YouTube short, I'm going to throw it over on Facebook Watch and LinkedIn or whatever. We don't do TikTok, because TikTok's, I think, a waste of time. But might put it on Twitter or something. So we just throw it out there wherever we like to throw it out there. And that's cool, man. It's okay. That's all vanity anyway, man. You know what I'm saying? I know people with 30 million likes that make 30 cents. I mean, it's like, come on, man. Like, you got to grow, The
next big project I'm taking on is I'm going to hire a speaking coach. I want to get my speaking really fine-tuned. And then I'm going to be hiring a sales coach as well. I think my relationship building is fine. I think it's my closing that needs work. So I think my best option is just to hire a sales coach, whether it's Manny or whatever, and just really hammer in my closing, because I think if I could close better, my revenue would shoot through the roof.
Yeah.
I think it's my closing that's holding me back.
Let me tell you real quick how to prepare for this, because I can guide you through your close, basically, especially on webinars and stuff like that. But the one-on-one is a little different. You can talk to one of our coaches about that for sure. But like, here's what you do. Right? Number one, get so good at telling that storytelling framework in my blueprint. That's going to be like literally 70% of your entire presentation. What I do on stage, like literally to thousands of people every single weekend, is the first, I do a 45-minute talk. The first 35 minutes is my story. But it's told in a framework that reveals and conquers objections, right? So, I'm going to tell who I was before. I'm going to tell why I got started. I'm going to tell the problem, clearly state the problem. I'm going to tell how I solved the problem. I'm not going to give them the solution. I'm going to talk about the 3 or 4 failures and obstacles that I experienced along the way that got me to the problem, right? Then I'm going to talk about solving the problem. I'll talk about how I started helping other people solve the problem. Okay. Now we're to the place where we have to deliver social proof. So now I have to piggyback off that. So maybe you tell testimonials at this point in any presentation. It's not just telling your story. People get that confused. You know, when I do a presentation, like if I've got a 45-minute presentation coming up in, 30 days, I'm going to probably spend an hour on every minute of that presentation. And I've got a little grid, right, that says, here's the first minute, here's the slide, what's happening, here's the story, but here's the objection I'm killing, right? So I'm slamming 30, 40 objections throughout my story. So when I get to the close, they're called trial closes a lot of ways too. You can trial close at the end of that. You can I can say, man, I was a school teacher. I didn't have a lot of time. So me and my wife got together. We planned a calendar to work on our business 3 hours a month or a week. I just told them something that's like, oh, you can find the time. I used my story to kill objections, right? Yeah. I killed like 30, 40 of these. But then you have to everyone at the end of your story is going to go, that was an awesome story. Good for you. So then you got to pile on some other quick stories of other people. You don't have to tackle all the objections. You just have to say, oh, but it also worked for Bob. It also worked for Kareem. It also worked for Evan. It also worked for Steven. Okay. And when you tell like a quick version of that. So we got some social proof now.
Gotcha.
And then there comes the turn into the pitch, right? You're like, now look, you want this for you. So let me tell you how I can help you, right? And then you tell about the things in your program. It's called a value stack. This is invented by Russell Brunson. Great book called Expert Secrets. If you ever want to read that book, it's a great book. Yeah, incredible book. And so that book will tell you how to do this value stack correctly. Might be in .com Secrets, but I think it's in Experts too. But the value stack basically is just like, here's the 4 things you get. Here's what they're worth. If you bought these separately, it'd be $5,000, but I'm going to give it to you for $1,500. So you're doing what's called a value stack and then a price drop. Okay. And that's it. Then this is the most important part of the close is you got to let them ask you questions. Everyone is only one question away from giving you money. The problem is as salespeople or as marketers, we think we know what their I'm going to tell you the answer to this one. Now we know the common ones, right? But everyone's story is different. And at this point in the one-on-one conversation to close it, you've got to turn it back over to them and shut your mouth. Got to understand and listen. You're not trying to convince anybody. You're just trying to listen, right? You already told them everything. And when you listen, they'll tell you like, well, like for example, they might say like, well, I just don't know if I can afford this. Or I don't know if I want to pay for that. Okay, well, tell me what's missing in this that would make you pay for it. And when you say that to them in this conversation, because we're talking one-on-one here, but this works on webinars too, they will answer your question. They will tell you, well, man, I've heard coaching programs are meeting 30 minutes every week. And oh, no. This one, I meet with you 90 minutes every week and you have access to me through Signal every day. Oh, well, they just told you what they would pay for. And then you said, oh, that's what it does. Right. So like you didn't even know, they didn't understand. So then we're just going to let them tell you what's wrong. Tell me what's wrong with this thing. Or they might say some kind of smokescreen answer like, well, my wife won't let me do it, or even then you're like, well, has your wife believed in you in the past? Yeah. She supports me in almost everything I do. Why wouldn't she support you in this? Is that really what's going on? Like you've got to let them, that's how we close is we build that relationship. We listen and we answer those questions. Right. And eventually what happens is after you sell your thing so many times, like mine is now like, I see through all the smoke screens. Most of the time it's just like, I'm scared because I don't believe in myself. That's where pretty much every conversation is going to end up 9 times out of 10. Right. And it's like, but like, then you can unpack that and you can uncover that and you can then like say, okay, well, let's take that first step out of the airplane together. Right. Yeah. Now you don't have to be afraid because you're not alone, So that little framework, man, is how we sell things. You might for you, it might be, do a webinar, tell your story really intensely. And then talk about what got you to the point where you're teaching leaders to not be managers. You know what I'm saying? At the end of that, then you're like, well, look, here's some other managers who came to me who wanted to be leaders and stop being managers because managers is boring and it's terrible, but they want to actually get results and help people and move and do these things. And then you say, all right, here's what I did for them. It's very natural progression. The pitch is easy. Like, well, here's what I did for them. Do you want me to do this for you? Tell them about the value. give them a good price, show them how it's crazy, show them what's in it for them. Like, dude, you pay me $1,500 a month and your unit goes up $1,000 a month in sales or whatever, $100,000 in sales. They're going to ask you, what are you doing? You want to raise? You got a clear value proposition. And then it's just shut up. Just shut up. Like, listen to them. That they're one question away from giving you money. And then you answer their questions as truthfully and honestly as possible. That's how we run everything. That's how we do everything. Like all of our one-on-one. Well, you've been through our one-on-one sales process because we sold you a package. You know what I'm saying? It worked on you, so, right. So that's what you have to do it, man. So, and honestly, man, dude, it's just reps. It's just reps, like go back to what we said at the beginning. The more traffic you get, the more reps you'll get. And just keep doing those things and like focus on getting reps. Sometimes we get lost in a hamster wheel of like trying to learn the next thing. And we forget that, like, if I try to tackle somebody 1,000 times, I'm going to be better at tackling. Right. So just do that right now. Get as many reps as you can and, you'll get better at it. Get that foundation laid, man. So it's good stuff. I love that. Steven, dude, listen, man, we've been talking. We might go forever, dude. I gotta go. My kids are about to get out of school. So I gotta go. Jocelyn just texted me. He was like, you better go pick up the kids. I'm like, but I'm talking to Steven and I'm having so much fun. This is ridiculous. But man, dude, I'm just so proud of you, man. Like, I was so excited when we got to come to Cincinnati because it was in Northern Kentucky, actually, is where we had that event. It was that Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area. And man, like it's just so cool to see someone do exactly what we're talking about. Come in, learn, say, this is it, and go for it. And you went for it. And like now that you're doing it and you're making money and you're getting clients, like we want to see you get to the next level. We want to see you get from 5 figures to 6 figures to 7 figures and grow. And also too, man, you're doing great things out in the world. Like our country, I was just telling my son yesterday at the gym, I take him and a buddy of his to lift. And we were talking, they were bringing it up to me like, Dad, all my friends are weak, man. They're just not strong. And I'm like, man, it's because we don't have any leaders in the world, whether it's in the corporate, the football field, anywhere, man. And like, we need more leaders, dude. So to know that you're out there throwing your pebble in the pond, causing ripples and creating leaders, man, that makes me super excited because we've equipped you to go out now and use your God-given gifts, bro. It's amazing. So tell everybody real quick, Steven, as we wrap up, tell them about your podcast. What's your podcast called? And anywhere you would like for people to connect with you online.
Yeah, man. My podcast is called the Renowned Leadership Podcast. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, any place you go to listen to your podcast. It'll be there. A lot of times my dad's on there with me. My dad's awesome. Everybody loves my dad way more than they love me. But my dad's a really cool dude. So you can check that out. And then you can go to my website, renownedleadership.com. And I got tons of free stuff for you. I got a checklist to help you lead a remote team because let's be honest, hybrid is the new norm. It's not going to be remote anymore, but it's going to be hybrid. It's going to be some remote, some in office. So as leaders, we have to learn how to adapt to that. So I've created a good short little checklist for you to help you prepare for what's coming and pretty much the new norm.
Every online business leader needs to go download that. So is it therenownedleader.com or renownedleadership.com? We can't wait to see everybody hit that up. Go download that free checklist from Steven. Steven, man, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Shane. It is an honor and a privilege. This was one of my bucket list things. After we left your conference, I was like, so 2 things are going to happen. This is what I told my wife. 2 things are going to happen. 1, I want to be on his podcast. He is going to ask me to be on his podcast. 2, one of these days, he is going to contract me and pay me to do something for him. So I knocked one out.
That's awesome, bro.
One of these days,
I got it written down. I got it written down. Hey, listen, bro. I've got you on the list. I'm going to start. I might recruit you now. We're going to have off air in a minute. But you know what's funny is this is a new tip I've been giving people. People have been asking me a lot lately, like, how do I get on people's radar and how do I get to work with people, like actually do stuff with them? And I'm like, become one of their best testimonials. That's it. I've done it over and over. I buy someone's stuff and I do it better than any student they've ever had. And guess what? They share me, they interview me, they do whatever they want, man, at that point. So right. You are well on your way, brother. That's great, dude. Awesome stuff, bro.